The meeting happened in the small building by the pool. Water droplets covered both our bodies. The smell of pool chemicals filled the air around us, a strong reminder of our secret meeting. But our hearts kept beating fast. The air in that tiny space felt heavy and thick, like the walls themselves knew what was about to happen. His fingers found their way under my bathing suit. I couldn't breathe properly when his mouth touched the soft skin on my neck. We moved together awkwardly on the old striped chair by the pool. I found myself pushed against the glass door, my leg wrapped around him. Time felt strange, both rushing and crawling at the same time. The door was slightly open, like it was inviting danger while keeping secrets. It stayed that way. I tried to say his name, maybe to stop him or maybe to steady myself, but no words came out. His mouth found mine again, desperate and nervous, like he knew we didn't have much time left. Every small sound made my heart race, the old chair creaking under us, the quiet splash of water outside. These sounds excited me, filling me with a dangerous mix of thrill and secrecy. But I stayed right there. Not when he pulled me closer like that, not when his hands shook just a little bit, showing he was trying hard to seem confident. His warm breath touched my ear, setting off sparks of wrong desire. I heard him whisper my name, heavy with meaning as he held me tight. Thoughts of what might happen later disappeared. Only the intensity remained, the exciting feeling of being wanted, scary but freeing at the same time. I told myself I could handle the growing pressure. I was wrong. He had barely turned 22. And me, not even close to that age. I had watched him grow up over the years, seen him change from a tall, messy teenager hanging around his dad's office to the strong, confident man who walked into the company pool party that day. He came back from college different, broader, more quiet. His eyes stayed on me, full of things he couldn't say. At first, I thought it was just curiosity, that look young men give older women when they're trying to figure out what draws them in. But the looks continued, getting more intense, like he was daring me to notice them. And I did notice. Oh, how carefully I watched everything. He picked the perfect time, waiting until I was alone by the pool before sitting in the chair next to mine. He asked about things others ignored, how I was sleeping, if my husband still worked late, whether I ever got tired of pretending everything was perfect. That day was burning hot. As the afternoon sun got lower, the guests wandered inside, full of food and drinks, too relaxed to notice the tension building outside. My husband was busy talking business in the dark kitchen. His father, my boss, was playing cards with the senior partners, the air thick with competition and secrets. We said we were getting more drinks. We said we'd be quick, but he followed me to the pool house instead. The door closed softly, and I'm still not sure how it happened. The quiet that came next is burned into my memory, the kind that feels heavy and full of possibilities. He stood just inches away from me. I never told him to stop. I let him gently brush a wet piece of hair off my shoulder. I stayed still as his fingers softly touched my skin. I told myself I was frozen, that this wasn't what I wanted, but I stayed exactly where I was. When his fingers touched my hip with that gentle, almost ghostly touch, I found myself turning to look at him. That's all it took. It felt like something fragile broke inside me. Our mouths met with desperate need, like the world was disappearing around us. Our hands moved clumsily together. My swimsuit shifted under his touch. I pulled him closer, lying to myself that no one would ever know, that it would never happen again, that I wasn't really doing what I was doing. But I absolutely was. What would you do if the thing that made you feel alive could also destroy your life? Because I wanted more than just him, I craved his desire, a hunger that ate me up inside. I needed someone to look at me the way he did, like I was more than just a wife, more than just someone's employee, more than a person slowly fading away. My heart was never his, I wasn't foolish. But in those moments under the glass ceiling, with my legs still shining and my breath caught in my chest, I felt suddenly visible again. And that's what made it so dangerous. We dressed in silence. I fixed my hair in the small mirror while he put on his shirt. I couldn't look at him. Not when he walked through the door, not when the sunlight burst in so bright, not when the world continued like nothing had changed. But everything had changed. And I wouldn't be honest if I said I didn't want to feel it again. If you've ever stood on the edge of disaster, where one simple yes could destroy everything, you know exactly where I was. These stories aren't about judging anyone, they're about telling the truth. He started showing up more often after that, but not in a way that would make people suspicious. That was the exciting part. It was subtle, not even clear to me at first. But the change was real, and once I felt it, I couldn't ignore it. The Monday after the party, he came to the office. He said he was picking up papers for his father, which was normal enough. But instead of going straight to the front desk, he found me in the back hallway, organizing quarterly reports. He leaned against the wall with his arms crossed, his eyes hiding the storm inside. "You left quickly yesterday. I couldn't look up. I had to. I could feel it." He waited. "Are you okay?" I nodded, then lied smoothly. Of course, he didn't push. He stayed for a moment, his eyes on me, then turned and walked away. And that's how it all started. It became something we didn't talk about between us. Not exactly. But we didn't avoid it either. It hung in the air, unspoken but always there. It was like the atmosphere changed, charged with electricity whenever we were alone in that space. He would find reasons to stay nearby, doing small tasks, casually copying his father's visits, which perfectly matched my schedule. I started relaxing my guard, or maybe just getting bolder. Because part of me loved the thrill of the forbidden, the edge of it, the feeling of being desired like that again, not from habit, not from duty, but from raw want and passion. For years, the spark in my marriage had died out. My husband loved me, though maybe in his own distant way. But we had become roommates, business partners, two quiet ghosts moving through the same spaces. And this, whatever it was, reminded me that I still had fire running through my veins. One afternoon, I caught myself checking the front cameras before leaving for lunch, not for safety, but to see if he was there. I found myself putting on lipstick more often, spending extra time getting ready in the mornings. My friends teased me about my new glow. I laughed and said it was yoga. But it wasn't yoga. It was the haunting memory of his hands on my skin. That Thursday, I stayed late at the office, working on a quarterly report. The building was quiet except for a few cleaning people moving through the dark halls. The copying machine went silent as I felt him behind me, uncomfortably close again. My breath stopped. He didn't move closer, just stayed there. "You left the pool house door open," he said quietly, with curiosity in his voice. I turned slowly, my heart beating so loud I could hear it. No one came in. But they could have, I know. We stood in silence, only the soft hum of the printer in the background. Then he asked, "Would you ever do it again?" I said nothing. Not then. I didn't have to. My choice to stay said everything. He left without another word, leaving tension hanging in the air. And I stood in that copy room for 10 whole minutes, my hands shaking on the machine tray. The pool party hadn't been planned. But everything after that, every look, every choice to be near him, that was mine. I wasn't a victim. I wasn't naive. I knew the rules. I'd helped write half of them in the company handbook. He was the son of the man who paid me. He was years too young and more dangerous than I wanted to admit, but I still answered his texts. I still showed up early when I knew he'd be around. I still let the silence stretch between us, thick and electric. Every time we were alone. One night I sat in my car after work and stared at myself in the mirror. I didn't recognize her, not really, but I didn't look away either. The tension didn't explode, it simmered. Every meeting felt like adding one more drop to a cup that was already full, and yet we kept adding more. It was always in the quiet places. The elevator ride that lasted 1 second too long. The moment in the parking garage when our car doors closed at the same time and silence fell heavy. The way he looked at me when no one else was watching. Not exactly with hunger, but with the knowledge that we shared a secret too close to breaking open. At first, we tried to stay professional. We talked like coworkers, like acquaintances. How's your morning? Did you see the game? But there was always something under the words. An electric current neither of us could stop feeling. Then came the supply room moment. It was late, maybe 9 p.m. I was in the supply closet looking for printer cartridges. The door was cracked open just enough. I was surprised to find someone else still there that late, but I turned around. And there he was, standing just outside the doorway, leaning casually against the frame, like he hadn't meant to be there but wasn't planning to leave either. I didn't speak. He stepped inside the room. He kept his distance, not touching me at all. He quietly closed the door behind him with a sense of finality. The overhead light buzzed softly. The space was small, just big enough for two people to feel how close they were. His voice was barely a whisper. "You look tired." "I've been here since 7 a.m. Maybe you should take a break." I faced him, holding the cartridge box like it was my shield. "I'll rest when this is finished." He gave a small smile that looked sad or maybe understanding. "You just can't help yourself, can you?" It was a question that seemed so ordinary, but underneath it held the power of secrets and betrayals, yet it felt anything but normal. It was like it went beyond the everyday, slipping past the boundaries of office small talk, reaching into the hidden parts of myself I kept locked away from the world. "I don't know how to," I admitted, immediately wishing I had kept that truth to myself. His hand moved slightly, hovering just above my arm, never quite touching.